Now we are going to get into our hot topic with Alisha, and we're going to talk about entrepreneurship, female entrepreneurship specifically. But I think that it'll also be applicable to men as well.
Yes.
We're not leaving you guys out, but we are.
But this isn't about you.
So I want to start with a question. Most of these questions are going to be, very focused on advice and tips, but some of them are also going to be about your experience as well. I definitely want to circle back to, the climate that we're currently in, and how you think entrepreneurship has been affected by COVID-19.
Totally. So it's been really interesting because obviously, unfortunately, there's been a ton of industries that's been impacted negatively. But on the flip side, in marketing, we actually saw a lot of small businesses take advantage of stuff like low ad costs on Facebook and Instagram and really start growing their business, or taking more time because they got to slow down with COVID to put more time into their side hustle and, grow that and nurture it throughout the last few months. So from, I guess, what we've seen in the community, mainly it's been a lot of, being able to slow down from your full-time job or whatever day-to-day brings and really focus in on your business, figure out what the next steps look like. And yeah,
I definitely agree with you. And I was going to add to that. So do you think, with that in mind, people do have a lot more time, to slow down and to think about all of these things, that it's a good time maybe to go into business if you're thinking about starting a business? Or do you think maybe you should wait until some of this blows over even?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know when this is going to blow over.
Right,
so
right.
It's one of those things where I'm almost somewhat impulsive, but also like a type A impulsive. So a bit of me is like, stay safe. And if you do have a full income coming in, then, stay there and make sure you have that and you can pay your bills. And then the other side of me is like, just go all in your dreams. Like, no better time.
Right.
Giver.
I definitely agree. I know that we've been saying a lot. I feel like it's a great time, especially if you're in a digital space, for people to take advantage of this. Everything's virtual, like the virtual conferences, move your conferences there. Yeah. Even with us, we've been fortunate enough to continue to do our show from home, and we use Zoom to do the calls, and it's given us so much more time to, create additional content for our show as well. So it's like, in a way, this is a weird blessing for our business, even though for the world it has not been.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Like we were able to upgrade a lot of our equipment, like these microphones and stands. These were not a thing before COVID.
Yeah.
The lighting in this room was not a thing before COVID. We went through a lot of stuff, and it was, again, like she said, a blessing. So
it's weird to say COVID has been a blessing for our podcast,
I have to say that's really good lighting as well. I'm jealous.
It's a ring light. It's a ring light, girl. And it's like,
I've heard they're good.
And it's one of those that like is on a dial, so it can go really high.
Oh.
So, switching back, we're gonna, let's leave the COVID talk where it is. That's exactly where we're gonna start with it, and then we're just not gonna come back to that. But I guess when you were starting the social project, what kind of propelled you to do that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is the social project? What does it do? And then what made you want to do that?
Yeah, make your own marketing agency. That's a big jump, and I'd love to know how and why.
Yeah, no, for sure. Great question. So I've been in marketing for, it's gonna be 11 years this year. And I did it for corporate startups. In the corporate setting, I was one of the only females on the exec team. I was only the person of color on the exec team.
Wow.
And I just kind of felt like my ideas were very unnoticed. There was no room for creativity or anything like that. So I did take a year and a half away from marketing and PR and in-person events, which I was doing. And I actually went into HR. So, which actually helped me now with hiring and dealing with that. So definitely blessed that I got that opportunity. But I went to a Tony Robbins event with a friend, and I was like, this is going to change your life. Little did I know I was going to walk out of there being like, hey, I'm never working for anybody but myself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so that's kind of where the social project started. And I knew that my creativity, my passion came out when I was talking about marketing and campaigns and figuring out how to blow up brands. And I knew this was the direction to go. And so the social project slowly started to evolve, and I took my time for sure. This was early 2017. I didn't launch until January of 2018. So I was doing a lot of the behind the scenes work, trying to figure out a name and all that other stuff, my services, what I was going to provide.
So what not to have you spill like all of your secrets, but what did that look like, the whole planning for a year? So like when you say you're just doing kind of like the planning, figuring out the name, but like were you also kind of building your client base as well, like trying to reach out to people to see if they were interested? Were you actually doing some work already and you were just trying to see like this could work, or solely just in a planning phase?
Yeah, so I was not only working with a business coach at the time, I've worked with a business coach actually throughout my entire entrepreneurial career so far.
Okay.
And so I was working with a coach on a business plan. I didn't know what a business plan looked like. I've always been, not in that role to be creating a business plan. It's been a marketing plan, which was great.
Right.
But I didn't know the profits and the loss and everything else that goes into it, along with a lot of networking. So I started actually going to Van City Business Babes events because I'm originally from Vancouver, and met Danielle there as well, and knew I was going to come down to Seattle because of my partner at the time, and didn't know where to look for community back then. So started developing those relationships. I think relationships are so important when it comes to entrepreneurs, because there's so many things that we can do for one another. I know when I like go to events or I have speaking opportunities, I'll always reach out and be like, hey, these are a few other, women that you probably want to, or you should look into. And
I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's great to know like how you became connected with Business Babes, because that was another one of our questions.
It was, yeah. I was kind of going to be like, and why Business Babes, but that totally makes sense. And
I definitely think that that's kind of like why we also kind of connected with you. And we were like looking for other people, like-minded community, that we were like, where can we, network or find people who are like us doing the same things as what we're trying to really foster on our show. And when you reached back out, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, because I was like, it's really hard to find community. And if you're trying to be in a space where it's like female entrepreneur, I feel like it's even harder. We've networked with like a lot of other people, but it's definitely siloed us into one, industry, and we're trying to break out of that now.
Right.
So now we're really trying to look at everything from like a high level perspective, like, okay, well, like we've got that connection and this connection, but like where else, in what industries or in what community or organizations can we also find community or networks and connections?
Yeah, everybody was talking about the Seattle freeze, and I was like super nervous because I was like, here I am trying to start a community and events that, essentially is around networking. Is nobody going to talk to each other? Is nobody going to talk to me? But the Seattle freeze is not real, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm from here, born and raised out here. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't see, because I'm like, that's not me. That's not who I am.
I feel like it's just kind of like, I think that that's in relationships. And then I also think that it's like, if you come from the South, it's obviously going to be different because or like even New York, because I feel like people in New York are in your face. Like they're going to be like, move out of my way. Like, that's not nice, but like, they're going to tell you about yourself. Right. And then like in the South, it's like, oh, like holding doors and saying hello to people you don't know. Whereas like in Seattle, it's more like the real world where like, if I don't know you, I'm not really going to be like, hi, like, I don't know who you are. That doesn't make sense. And so I feel like it's like just like a different culture,
Yeah,
totally.
That's really what
Seattle's really nice and like liberal. And I'm like, people are always trying to learn more. That's what I like about Seattle. It's like people are trying to learn more about different people, cultures, everything. And I just feel like it's so much different than anywhere else. Like,
agreed.
Really. Yeah, you can't really put a little bow on it. You can't really do that.
Nah, not at all. What would you say before starting your business? What was the best piece of advice you received?
Yes.
The best piece of advice I received was to be okay to fail. In my head at the time, that was like the most scariest piece of advice. I was like, what is this person saying? They want me to fail. But in hindsight, now I look back and my failures are always the jumpstart of my lessons and what I wouldn't do again and what I wouldn't advise other people to do. And so it's been huge for growth as a person and in my business. And so, yeah, I would definitely lead that on to others as well, as be okay to fail and use those as jumping stones to the next part of wherever you're going.
Yeah. I definitely feel like we kind of have started to understand that a little bit more, be more a little okay with that, or hearing no. Right.
And, being failing okay with doesn't that. Mean that it's all a failure. It just means that you've got another opportunity to either rework that or to not do that again.
We just did a poll. We just did a poll recently asking our people on our page, would you like if we did this again? And the majority of the people said no. And we were like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So. And we were like, right. And then we're starting to think did we do something wrong here?
Yeah. And it's maybe we need to approach this differently. What the heck?
Yeah, I love that advice. And I definitely think that for me, my advice is just do it. And I feel it goes hand in hand with that. I feel a failure, the thought of failing really stops people from really dreaming or daring to even dream. And it's just kind of
we can put the finger at me this time.
Do it. Yeah. Have to, because if you don't even try, you failed already because you're not even in the game.
You're telling yourself that you can't.
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah.
Right.
Man. All right. Wake up.
Nuggets.
Up. Hello.
And this is where we bring the show up. Look at that.
Look at that, right? We brought it down, COVID, and now we're riding it back up.
That's how we do. It's a roller coaster
Every week.
I wanted to ask another question about the social project and your clients. So you work with bigger brands, but do you also work with smaller, other entrepreneurs or small businesses as well?
Yeah, we work with a wide range of clients. So we have the larger global brands, and then we do have the very local, hyper niche focused brands as well. And I think that's what I love about being able to do this is being able to work with the different brands. Being in corporate, it was a lot of bigger brands, which was really cool and gave us a lot of opportunities. But I love what we have in our backyard. There's so much talent in our own backyard. And so how can I help those people and help amplify their brands and, really make it out there? So it always goes back to, home and community for me, I guess.
Yes, I love that.
And you help them at any stage, right? Whether it's from scratch or whether that's awesome.
Look, we're over here we would really also like to touch on really quick, since this is female entrepreneurship, what is it like being a female in your industry?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It is tough. There's something called bro marketing as well, which is typical marketing. So, in your face, what you typically see out there.
Right.
And I remember going to a conference. It was my first year as an agency owner in 2018. Went to a conference. It was the largest marketing conference for us. So super excited. I was one of the only female Indian agency owners because I'm South Asian, but it was the only one that I saw. And so I was kicking it there in leather pants and a jean jacket and sneakers. And I'm looking around at these dudes in suits. And all I could think of was, we're in San Diego. Why are you wearing this?
Yeah.
And
wow.
So it was interesting to be in that space as well. And I think that's kind of what kickstarted my want to disrupt what this industry looked like.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say, when you realize your presence and you realize that you might be the only person there that's representing for you, and that can give you that drive to want to all right, cool, I'm ready, I'm here, let's make some noise.
Right. And we have so many different experiences that we put into our marketing campaigns and how we run a business. And so just bringing that to the table is always open, I think, and being open to being that only person in that room. And I think just looking back now, I'm like, I'm okay being in those spaces because I am okay leading the way for others to be in that space and being like, hey, here's a seat, come over here and sit with us. Like, you can sit with us.
I love that. I love that because I feel like it would be I would have been intimidated if I'd walked in there and
that's it.
I was like, I would be like, oh, I gotta go. Oh yeah, that's so cool.
So now, did you make a lot of connections at that event? And like, you know, do you have a lot of connections that are men or like that might be males in those kinds of positions and like that kind of stuff? How are your working relationships with men in the industry like that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I keep them and I constantly create them just because there are opportunities, you know, that I think they can pass along, or things I can learn from them as well as teach them too. Of, hey, this is, you know, not cool if you do that. I remember at the conference, some guy was raving about his beauty campaign that he did for women, for aging women. And I was like, what do you really know about this?
Right.
You're white male and you're now talking about skincare products for all types of women. And it just made no sense. And so, yeah, just opening the doors for those conversations is, I think, where a lot of not only marketing industries, but every industry has to kind of go.
I'm really glad that you said that because that's really important is being in that space and using that moment to teach and do it in a respectful way. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. That was really nice.